So I just wanted to quickly share with you guys some of the nut tree varieties that we're gonna start growing next year. So there are not a whole lot of nut trees growing in Flagstaff. I've seen some walnuts around. I don't know how frequently they produce, and most of them that are healthy are in Sunnyside. So this is a bit of an experimental project. But my hope is that if we select varieties that are more cold hardy nut varieties, that there's a good chance that if this trend of longer growing seasons continues, that in the future, within the next couple of decades, nut trees might be a more feasible thing. So if people started planting them now, then 20 years from now they would hopefully have producing trees. So kind of the idea of like, if we're experiencing climate change, hoping that we can kind of turn lemons into lemonade. So I'm just going to show you the varieties that we're going to grow. So these are all from Burnt Ridge Nursery, in case anyone's interested in growing their own from seed. So these are Northern Pecan, which is a smaller pecan, but it's a really cold hardy pecan. So these should be, the trees will grow down to hardiness zone 5, which is the majority of Flagstaff. Definitely anywhere in Sunnyside or the Banana Belt, you would be just fine. Some of the areas that are further out, Cheshire, Baderville, this would not work. We also have, this is Russian hardy walnut. So it's actually English walnut, but it is an extremely cold hardy variety of English walnut. And they are hardy down to zone 4. So these can be grown in pretty much any part of Flagstaff proper, and you'll at least get a nice tree. I guess something to let you know, so you would need to plant 2 walnut trees in order to expect walnuts. But the benefit of all of these nut trees is that even if they don't end up being good producing trees, you still have a beautiful shade tree, and the value of the wood is extremely high. So theoretically you could plant with the intention of eventually harvesting the wood, and it would be worth tens of thousands of dollars if given enough time. Let's see. Then we also have Yamhill Hazelnuts. Hazelnuts are really nice because they're a really small tree. They're more like a large shrub, and they're an early producer. So, and this is another one that should be hardy down to zone 4, zone 5. So this is something else that people can grow most places in Flagstaff with no trouble. So I'm excited to give those a go. And then the last one I have here, these, I was just cleaning them to get them. I have to cold stratify them in the fridge because it's a little late in the season to start trying to do it outside. We'll miss it by probably half a month to a month before it starts warming up. All of these require roughly 3 months of cold stratification before they're going to germinate. These guys are pretty special. So this is American Chestnut, which is smaller than the ones that you get at the store. But American Chestnut, for anyone who doesn't know, was almost entirely wiped out by a fungal blight back, I think, in the 1800s. I'm not positive on that. So they're not particularly common. The ones that are surviving are ones that had some amount of resistance, so people have been kind of trying to breed them to have more resistance. My theory is that since Flagstaff is a very dry place where we don't have a whole lot of trouble with fungal issues, that chestnuts, American chestnuts, this might be a good place for them to kind of get, for us to give them another chance to find another space that they can grow. I will also be growing black walnuts, which are another one that's hardy to zone 4, zone 5. They are not utilized as much for the food because the nuts themselves are a lot harder to crack and they have less food in them. But it is nice that they're more cold hardy, and I got a bunch of those from my sister who has a very large black walnut in her backyard. So it might be advisable if you were interested in growing walnuts in your yard, you could do one of the Russian hardy English walnuts and a black walnut, and then they'd be able to cross-pollinate. You'd have something like a little different from one another if you have enough space to do that. So that's kind of the plan. This is, like I said before, more of the experimental, like for fun, for people who want to try something new, who think, you know, maybe in the semi-near future it'll be more feasible for us to get nut crops. And I don't know, it's just kind of fun to do that sort of thing. So, you know, let me know if you have any comments or thoughts on that, or if there's any other nut varieties you'd be interested in me growing. I think it's good to remember if you wanted to go with a native nut tree, I mean, pinyon pines are a great option. It is, again, it's going to be like you're only going to get a good crop every, I think it's usually every like 7 years they have a really good crop of nuts. But they're, you know, obviously super delicious. So, and very low water. So all of these nut trees would be quite a bit higher water, especially initially. So that's something to keep in mind.